figure out how to share that quickly. All right, we are live. I have to remember how to share this link with people now. Are you able to see it on our YouTube page?
Should get a notification. Please go to our page on there.
Yeah. Okay. If anybody remote wants to try checking out our YouTube, well, I guess I can do it from here. Cinder
Group or something like that. Yeah, but I haven't really been doing a whole lot there. openstack-cinder.
Wow, a lot of other stuff shows up when you search Cinder on YouTube.
Well, it's now a semi-air book, right?
There we go. Oh, wait, I'm getting videos. This is not what I wanted.
There. Should get to the channel and that has links to the stream.
There we go. Ah, live now. Okay. Can I do copy link? And all right. Live stream is here. All right. Oh, somebody already put it in Etherpad. Excellent.
That's a link to the channel.
Okay.
And then from there, you can see the live streams and things.
All right. That sounds good. Cool. All right. Well, welcome to the first mid-cycle we've done as a group in a while. Let's see. We've got online still. We've got just switched. Okay, so we got Erlon, we got Rajat, we got Sophia, and in the room we've got Sean McGinnis and Brian Rosmeta and Eric Harney and myself. So it's a quiet start, but hopefully we'll get more people as we go along. So the first topic on the agenda was Stein cycle goals, and Sean was going to lead that one up.
All right. So I have a link in the Etherpad. I just pasted the Etherpad in the IRC channel in case anyone didn't have that already. But under the governance.openstack.org, TC, there are the goals, and the two goals that were selected for Stein were running under Python 3 by default and supporting the pre-upgrade checks. So I guess starting with the first one, the goal of that, or the reason that was selected as a goal, is Python 2 is going away, and we want to make sure we're as ready as we can be for when we transition over completely to Python 3. And so part of that was running our testing, making sure everything is running functional tests under Python 3, which I think Cinder was actually doing well before this goal. But then the other thing was running all of the other jobs, like docs builds and PEP8 jobs and things like that under Python 3, just to make sure that there weren't any surprises once we actually started getting rid of Python 2. So I just took a look. If you follow,
Yeah, go get Walt.
oh, okay.
Carry on. I'll be back.
How can we carry on without you?
You can.
So under that goal on the governance site, no.
What about this meeting that they go like
Talk about. So under the Python 3 first goal, documentation published on there, there's all the details that we don't really need to get into. But there is a wiki linked on the very bottom where I think primarily Doug has been pushing this for quite a while now, tracking the status of Python 3 with different projects. Our projects are on there, they're all marked good. The one thing that I noticed is not on there is our Python brick cinder client extension. So I haven't looked at that to see if we're running the Python 3 jobs there, but I'm assuming we are because we're.
I don't know.
Yeah, that hasn't been getting a lot of attention. Are you even aware of that?
I didn't realize it had a cinder, so there's like cinder client just for Python brick. That way.
Kind of. I think Yvonne started it. It's an extension to the cinder client.
Okay.
And its purpose is kind of the Nova side of the brick operations and that in normal use. If you wanted to use Cinder by itself and perform, the device identification and things like that locally, it gives you Cinder client commands that you can run as root to perform those things that are normally done by Nova.
Sorry.
That's also for doing that with attaching like an ironic image.
Yeah, I think around
That was a lot of the goal, I think, was to be able to attach to something that's not Nova driven.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
So basically anything non-Nova that needs to do those things that normally we just assume Nova would take care of.
Okay.
So someone needs to check on that. I'll try to get to that, but if someone else could, that would be great. So if you look in the references on the bottom of the TC goals Stein Python 3 first page, there's a status of OpenStack projects link to the wiki page. So if someone can get to that before I can, if you can check, just make sure that we have Python 3 jobs running against that repo changes. And then we can also add that as being green. Oh, great. Thanks for that. So confirmation. Good. So we're good. What's that?
Is there any requirement or something related to the CIs?
Yep, that was the next part I was going to get to with that. So that's not actually part of the cycle goal, but we actually did state, I don't know, last cycle or even before that all third-party CIs should be moving over to be running under Python 3. We haven't really done anything to check and enforce that, but
I'd be surprised if it's a lot of that.
yeah. So if you are running a third-party CI, you really need to be looking at running things under Python 3 instead of Python 2. Because we have the unit test running, we have functional test running. So we're fairly confident that the core code of Cinder is going to be good once we fully transition to Python 3. But until we have third-party CI running using Python 3, we don't know if there's something in a driver somewhere that's going to blow up. And we have had a few fixes in drivers because of, I forget, there's the division where you use 1/ versus 2.
Division.
Yeah. So there's little things. So unit tests are passing, but
Hey, guys.
cool.
How's it going? It's been a while.
Cycle
Alright, so I'm just grabbing one spot.
Yep. And
Coffee's
there's
over there.
coffee
Snacks
over there, food up there.
Just talking about the cycle goals. Talking about Python 3
Oh,
and third-party CI.
the topic that never dies.
Yes.
Yeah. We have CI on the agenda a couple of times.
Yeah, we might have this later as well, but the question was asked about running third-party CI on Python 3. So yeah, we need to have third-party CI running that. We probably need to start checking and enforcing that soon because the overall goal is train release. We want everything we want to make sure everything is working in Python 3, but we'll still have Python 2. It's not official yet, but we're expecting the new release. We're going to start dropping Python 2 support.
Oh, wow.
Which would simplify a lot of things. Get
Yes.
rid of all the 6.
Well, how yearly would it be at development in Python 2?
Yeah, I think by the end of the new development cycle, we're going to be after the deadline of when Python 2 is end of life. So, yeah, third-party CI, definitely in your best interest to make sure it's working.
So, what about the fiber channel zone manager and those drivers?
I do have that on
Okay.
the agenda for discussion.
Well, they'll need to be running Python 3 as well. They'll need to be running. Yeah.
Okay. Is anyone running at all anymore?
Yeah, Cisco, surprisingly, is the one that's running now, and Brocade is having issues.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
A few months back, I had a private message from Angela. I have the an IRC proxy enabled, and I wasn't actually on at the time she was messaging me. I'm like, oh my god, she's still on.
She has sent some emails.
Yeah, she's been emailing us.
Okay.
And they have a system up and running, but they can't get, which actually you know why she pinged you? I asked her to ping you because she's having issues with she doesn't see the zone manager code used when they run attach, detach in their environment through Tempest tests. But when she does it by hand,
Didn't she say she figured that out though?
did she?
I think her last email said she figured it out.
Oh, okay.
So now their only issue is getting the logs published.
Oh, is that? Oh, sweet. Okay. Good. I'm behind on, I must have missed that email.
I'm pretty sure.
Was it just mocked out or something?
I'm assuming it's a configuration issue.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the Python 3 goal for Stein. Any questions, concerns, issues?
We should do it. Sounds good.
Is that across the board for all of?
Yeah, so that's one of the overall goals for the Stein cycle is Python 3 first. So, well, the third-party CI wasn't. That's kind of related to that, so we talked about that. But the goal itself was to make sure all repos are running functional tests so that they're actually running under Python 3. And that all the jobs like the docs builds and the PEP8 jobs run using Python 3 versus Python 2 just to make sure that there's not something there that would be a surprise once we flip the switch.
Okay.
And I don't think we had any surprise issues when we did that, so that was good.
I found the other day that if you go run Tox PEP8 on like CentOS or L7, it does nothing and it says congratulations.
Really?
Because it looks for Python 3 and there's no Python 3, and then it just says good job
Oh,
instead of failing.
I thought Tox would give an error if it.
I would have thought so too.
Wow.
I poked at it for a minute, but I didn't figure out. I'm sure there's an option to make it do something.
Yeah.
But
I wish we could put a dummy command in there just to make it fail.
I think there's some Tox options that do it, but it's a lot of options. It's sort of
That's weird. If there's no Python 3, it can't be broken.
yeah.
So
That's the theory.
Do we have Python 3 talks for OS Brick and all that nonsense too?
I think
Yes, OS Brick or Python Brick Cinder Client extension is the only one that wasn't listed. There's a wiki page that Doug's been tracking all the different repos, and that was the only one of ours that wasn't listed under there. But Rajat checked and verified that there are Python 3 jobs running on that repo.
Okay. Okay.
It's just so low traffic. I can't even remember the last time I looked at a patch for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if there's work that needs to be done on that one, I might be able to pick some of that stuff up.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't looked at it, so even if you have time, if you want to take a look over and make sure we're actually doing things that we're supposed to be doing, that would be good.
Well, in OS Brick EXT.
That's
that. Oh, that
Yeah,
was the one.
Yeah.
Okay. So OS Brick and OS Brick EXT are covered.
Okay.
Okay. The other cycle goal was to support pre-upgrade checks. So this was, part of the cycle goals. We really at least want to have one of them that's a visible benefit to end users. So Nova had this command line tool that would that when someone is doing an upgrade, they could run it and it would actually have checks and look for known issues. So this pre-upgrade check goal was to add that command for all projects so that we can have some consistency where deployment tools can always run a command and expect to get some output.
So, what's a dumb question, but if you have this command line in Stein, you get the Stein code and the command.
Yeah, I think the
upgrade.
forget the timing on it. You'd have to, yeah, you'd have to get Stein pulled down locally at least to be able to run the command and look for these issues. I think the and before starting the services, you run an upgrade check to make sure that it's safe to do and that you haven't missed any steps that needed to be done before you actually start.
If you sorry to interrupt, what network should I use?
Oh, Lenovo Guest.
Okay, and what is the?
Oh, click sign up and it will use your phone number to sign you up.
Okay.
Yep, no problem.
JBryant1.
My email, yeah.
What's that?
Is the JBryant1 is the email.
Oh, okay.
You're responsible for something.
And don't put a 1 in front of your phone number, otherwise it just counts down from 60 and then sits there over and over until you realize
Test.
is it working?
It's not actually using that microphone for this.
Huh.
Shoot.
Well, this is probably sufficient for us.
Yeah, it's just for recording that. I'll fix that on the next section.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
So upgrade checks. We've got all the framework in place, so we do have a sender status upgrade check. But it's just the framework. It doesn't. There's like a W placeholder job that is always success.
Do we have some like reasonable candidates for things we would put in there?
That's what we need to do next. And I haven't had a chance to look.
Got Python 3.
We
We say you want people to run
you
the
have to have that for that already. So
Well, I think what Nova had always done is they would look through their release notes, and anything that they put under the upgrade section of the release notes would be a likely candidate for an upgrade check.
oh, like anything that you like, if you remove the driver, that would be an easy one.
Yeah. So we remove the driver, we could check it. Is that driver configured? If we've deprecated config options, there's three different results that the upgrade checks returns as success, failure, and warning. So we could have warnings in place to see if a deprecated config option is being used.
Yeah.
They'll get warning logs, obviously, if they continue to use it, but that would be a kind of a consistent way that they can find out about those things. Obviously, if we remove a deprecated config option, we could have an upgrade check that looks for it still being in the sender background file and fail the upgrade check. Then they know for sure there's something they got to do before they can start the service. So this one,
Sounds useful.
yeah, I think so. And I think having this consistent mechanism for every project will be good for like
I'm a little
scripts and things like that.
I'm a little skeptical how many people are going to use it since you have to get the new code base to actually run it. But
Well, I'm hoping if it's baked into some of the deployment tools.
right.
Then
Yeah, I was trying to imagine that actually could be figured in ours. I don't know. I'm sure someone's looking at it already.
hopefully.
And how many dependencies are there on it? Do you have to have the whole notebook?
Well, the problem because you have to have the release of Cinder that you're upgrading to run it.
It's kind of a chicken and egg issue. You don't want to install it until you know that it's.
Yeah.
It's more, it's defined configuration issue, so I think installing the new code, yeah, there's a risk, you know, if your driver has been removed, that, oh crap, now what? But at least you find out before you actually start up the services and things start falling all over the place.
Can you install the new code in a virtual environment, then run the tool?
That's one of the operators I know was talking about having a container, so you don't actually.
Yeah, because if you could kind of define, you know, what it has to actually touch and limit it a little bit.
So you could potentially have something like a Docker run Cinder upgrade check.
Because presumably it would just
touch anything, but it could validate.
Well, I guess it would presumably look at config files and the database, but it's probably not going to be significantly making queries and stuff to do this.
Yeah, because it's before you start the services, I don't think we can do anything that would require RPC.
So yeah, maybe you could.
That's assuming that your config and all that stuff is outside of the shared.
You'd have to
Yeah.
mount it in a container or something like that if you were going to do the Docker-based checker. But it's providing that mechanism for people to go do stuff like that.
Cool.
So as far as the goal goes, we're fine because we've met the goal. We have that framework in place.
Yeah.
Now it's really on us whether, you know, for us to go look through our upgrade release notes and see if there's something that we want to add specific checks for.
You know, the thing that worries me about this kind of thing is, right, so if we just let the goal go, because you can run the command, then everybody thinks,
Yeah.
run the command, everything's cool. So I guess we should always return one
Warning, we have to.
because it's,
Learning.
yeah,
Right?
it is.
Yeah,
I guess in the release notes, we just have to make clear what the limitations of the tool are or something.
Yeah, I guess that would be a bad experience if they run the tool and it's like it says,
And then it's like,
and then they try to start it. Yeah,
So what is the expectation here? Is it expected that when somebody puts in a new feature, kind of like they're supposed to write a release note right now, they should also have an upgrade checker?
not usually not for a new feature.
I guess it's more for something.
Or I'm sorry, let me ask the question a different way. As core reviewers, if I see something come in that looks like a candidate for the upgrade checker, should I say, hey, we shouldn't be merging this yet until you have added a check in the upgrade check?
I think it's going to be a fairly small number of changes
Yeah,
or release it qualified.
I think Nova's been doing this for a few releases now, and they only have a handful of checks that they do.
Because the outside of the driver deletion, not much really comes to mind.
API changes.
Well, I mean, with micro versioning, it's supposed to always be handled anyway as far as compatibility.
Even if the next micro version removes an API feature.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's
can,
fine as far as.
but they'd have to specify that higher micro version to get removed or removable. Otherwise, we still have it there because we haven't supported forever. I'm not sure if there's a list of Nova's checks, but
Should we remove drivers all the time now, it seems like, so.
Yeah, well, I think for the driver
Yeah.
stuff, we really would just have to have a list of like the IDs drivers that we took out and look for it. Big.
Yeah, if the user's still using it, be like, hey, you're about to lose your back-end driver.
yeah, that's probably the biggest
Of course,
use
then
of
you're
driver.
doing mess with people who install it manually outside of the tree.
So, how about this? We'll look at the Rocky release notes. There should be an upgrade section. So Rocky, policy and code, that's one. We could check if there's a policy.json file and have a warning. This is no longer necessary unless you're changing
Yeah, but
default
that's still,
policies.
that still works, though, so that's, I'm not sure that would.
Yeah.
The
Well,
thing that doesn't work in it is if you have a default target. Because we used to use those, make default exclamation point, and then any of those features would turn off, even for the admins. And then that way you know something to go change something. But now, since the defaults are defined in the code, you never actually hit that anymore. So the new API things just come in, yeah, pretty sure. Because you always have the default.
Oh, yeah, so if you upgrade the code and there's something.
Yeah, so I put that in the, we do have that in the Stein release notes, the thing about the, yeah, just as a side point. But, so I know, so we can maybe look to see if there's a default target defined, just sort of one.
Yeah, so we
There's all sorts of weird behaviors, I guess, that you should warn people about, but.
yeah,
yeah.
there's so many things that can go wrong.
You know,
So on reviewer, as far as reviewers go, like you were asking, I think if it is something that we think is significant enough, we could say, please add an upgrade check before you do this. But
One presumably something that in the category already be getting some documentation and stuff. So it should.
yeah, all of it, most of this is documented in the release notes, but it's to catch those where people haven't looked at the release notes.
Yeah,
yeah, which is amazing.
it happens a lot. I think we use the release notes probably more than the users. To be like, okay, what did we do here?
Yeah.
So
So here's one in Rocky. We changed, it was deprecated for a long time for the backup service to specify the driver as Cinder backup service Swift versus Cinder backup service Swift drive, whatever it is. Give them the full class path versus just the module.
Right.
So that's potentially something that an upgrade checker could see. Hey, you need to change this before you start up your backup service.
is there documentation on how to create the upgrade checks?
Yeah, there are a bunch of references in the bottom of the Stein goals.
Okay.
I have that link in the Etherpad, so if you go there, it's under the upgrade checks. It's really I think it's a decent framework that we got set up, so
So is
it
it
shouldn't be hard.
the Cinder manage command? I'm just looking at that.
I think it has to be ready. Because it's got its own.
It's its own command.
Oh, okay.
No.
Status.py.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I'm gonna flip the notebook.
Got it.
And there's an Oslo upgrade check library. So we took rather than copying and pasting a bunch of what Nova had, moved that common logic into a library. So it's really, adding a check is just a matter of adding in the business logic that you need to look for the things that are of concern.
In our developer information, we should probably add something about this.
Yeah.
That's something I could follow up on.
And so Matt Friedman is the goal champion for this. He did add a link in here for some documentation that they put into the Nova docs.
Okay.
I'll add that to the Etherpad. That maybe we might want to copy or use that as a guide for adding our own documentation of what we want to do.
Okay.
Oops.
Okay.
So yet another one call for help. Anyone that has time that wants to go out and look at these and look for things that they think are important enough that they have an upgrade check, please feel free to jump on that.
Yeah, it looks like a Nova across 3 releases, they've got 5 of them.
Oh, okay, so it's not as major an undertaking.
Well, we don't do that many things that are alarming upgrade concerns most of the time.
All right. Anything else on the community goals?
Sign up if you guys want to step up there.
I doubt it. I think we may encourage the placeholder stuff. Yeah, just because Matt can show up in class chat.
What was the question?
That's why it's not it is yet.
Oh, okay.
So I think we've got the placeholder stuff in. But I think we thought through what else to do.
Or glance.
Yeah, we're down to like how many people. So we're still with that policy. But we got some reasons not to do that.
All right.
All right. So 4 minutes over.
Yeah, I mean, good, we're using time. Okay,
Just talk a lot.
so third-party
Oh,
CI
okay.
and Python. So this just kind of Python 3
Yeah.
follows along.
Small sample group here, but is anyone here aware of any third-party CI that actually is running with Python 3 yet?
I don't know. What version of Python 3?
That's a good point too. So we were kind of lucky there for that. The versions, the distros that we were targeting were staying on Python 3.5 for a while, but that was just because of timing. We had to clarify our position on that because what we had stated was whatever the kind of the LTS or long-term release at the start of development cycle is what we would target for that release. So actually for Stein, based on what's out there with RHEL and Ubuntu, everything should be going Python 3.6 now, because that's what those are shipping with. So I think running any version of Python 3 is a good first step for any of the third-party CI, but it is going to be kind of a ongoing thing that we're going to have to do 3.6, 3.7, track whatever the LTS releases are at the cycle.
Okay. I was looking at
Yeah,
and they have a test in there for 3.5 only.
Oh, okay.
So we're already behind
Yeah.
if 3.6 is required minimum. I don't know what version of Python we have in Celeste.
We,
So yeah,
we
Erlang,
started. Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, just to mention that we started to work on that one, and we were facing some problems. Not exactly with Python 3, but to run the infra that we have. We used to run the old Zoo V2 and all the V2 scripts for setting up the providers and the nodes. And yeah, that's been something very it's a pain to make those scripts to run on Ubuntu 18. So, but if we are considering the possibility to run the Python 3 dev stack with Python 3 and in Ubuntu 16 at least for this release, to get things going faster. So folks that are going through the same way, that will be something that is maybe a easier way to just to run Python 3 over Ubuntu 16. I don't know how much that is recommended by the community side or from the infra side, but that's something that is working much easier than the running Ubuntu 18.
Is part of your challenge moving to using Zool v3, or are you trying to stick with v2 and not upgrade?
Yeah, part of the challenge is to move for Zool v3. The thing is, if I am using Ubuntu 18, all the scripts are not for setting up nodes are not present for Ubuntu 18. I mean, the scripts that we run for Ubuntu 16, they will not work on Ubuntu 18, and I think that infra has moved to Zool v3.
Yeah.
So we would need to move for Zool v3 in order to get all their scripts and all the functionality.
Okay. If you're getting stuck on Zool v3 issues, let me know, because I've got a guy on my team that has worked through a lot of that and found a number of the issues as he was doing it. And I'd be happy to put you in touch with him.
Oh, cool. Good to know that.
Yeah, I've sent a couple other people his way. I've been trying to get him more involved in the community anyway. And so this has been a good way to keep him engaged.
Nice.
So yeah, just let me know. He's out, he did it for Ironic, but you know, from a Zool standpoint, there should be a lot of commonality there.
Among our third-party CIs, do people have fairly similar setups, or are they like all wildly different?
I think there's some Zool v2, some
They
Zool
was-
v3,
They also
simple CI Python scripts.
I'm just wondering if we should be giving any general guidance on that.
Well, I was going to say, and this is easy for me to say because I don't have to run my own CI anymore, but if people run the CI could work together and come up with this is what works and come up with something that everybody can just follow, that would make it a lot easier, and definitely a lot easier for new drivers coming on board and not have to go through everything over and over again.
Didn't we go through that process at one point where someone was going to create a wiki to describe this as, or did that just not ever happen?
There was an effort.
There was an effort. Well, and the problem we ran into with getting the Ironic CI set up is all the documentation, you know, we were, there was some pointing to V2 and some pointing to V3, and it was not clear what was for V2 versus V3. And so we spent time spinning our wheels on that for a while, and then found where we were supposed to actually be implementing it, but then discovered that nobody had actually tried with V3 before. So we started hitting bugs there. And it was just...
Yeah, I don't think it's gotten better, but when I have been setting up the CI, it's so much, there's a lot of information out there about setting up third-party CI, and all of it is out of date.
Yeah. And that's why, you know, when I'll be honest, when we were going through trying to decide what we do with the NVMe driver, after watching my guy flail forever trying to get a CI set up, and me flailing on it, I'm like, I have more sympathy than I used to.
Definitely
Yeah,
sympathize.
it's very difficult to stand it up from nothing, knowing nothing.
Yeah.
And it's also very difficult to keep it running over time too.
Yeah, it's not something you can just set and run on a machine in the data center and not think about it. You gotta babysit it all the time.
Yeah.
Well,
The pet, not the cattle.
trying to find a place to put the logs. The logs are running off a server in my basement because we couldn't get anywhere in Lenovo. So I've got an X3650 M3 in my basement serving logs for Lenovo.
We had the same problem too at HP. We had to create an Amazon web account and put stuff up, so it was accessible. I mean, it's just
Yeah, that's the same in all places.
So, I should just start selling space on that 3650.
How many times have we talked about
Yeah.
creating a third-party CI company in Cinder?
Well, there was a guy on the channel the other day. He's like, I need my third-party CI running. I don't care how much I have to pay somebody. Just have them come do this. And I'm like, So for $1 million.
Yep. That problem has not changed.
So I think there's a third-party CI wiki out there of people that are figuring out Zool v3 and figuring out the right best way to do this and update that.
And I mean, if you reach out to he's in the Ironic channel, and his username is Giapay. So that's the one thing is he is in Asia, so the time zone's a challenge. But if you're finding things that aren't documented properly and need to be updated, I mean, definitely, if you guys can start working on fixing that, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, definitely something that we're planning to do. Try to document all our path to do that and the hurdles, and if possible, even do kind of automation to do that and make things easier to other people.
Yeah, that would be great.
I think that's it as far as Python 3 or third-party CI.
So, and maybe this will come up. We need to be better about tracking these kinds of things actually happening. So I'm actually going to add a note when we talk about moving to storyboard. This is the kind of thing I want to see. I want us to think about how do we track these kinds of things. And I think the answer in storyboard is we create a story and then have tasks for, each of the drivers, even if it's just I go out and look at their logs and see if there's Python 3, and then we mark it complete. But I think those are the kinds of things as we're migrating over that we want to be thinking about tracking better rather than, because we've got a couple of things on our list that we're like, oh, we need to think about how each of the drivers handles these. So that's just kind of my thought there. But we can talk about that when we get there. I actually have that on the agenda tomorrow because I wanted to because I figured I would have ideas as we went through today of things that we need to think about. So anyway, okay. So we are at 10:15. I don't suppose Helen, who asked to have, Helen, are you on the call at all? Take that as a no. No, she's not out there. Should we take a 15-minute break so that I can fix this recording to use the right microphone? And people can get a snack and hit the restroom. And then we'll reconvene in approximately 15 minutes. Sounds good. Sound good? Okay. I'll just leave the Hangout open right now. I'm going to stop the live stream and restart it in when we meet back up. Yes, I'm sure it went.